When we think about success, we often focus on positive visualization, imagining ourselves achieving our goals, basking in victory, and feeling the joy of accomplishment. We believe that cultivating an optimistic mindset will help us stay motivated, build confidence, and attract favorable outcomes. However, there is another way of thinking that is rarely discussed, but holds surprising benefits: imagining failure. At first, this may seem counterintuitive. Why would anyone willingly picture themselves failing? Wouldn't this kind of thinking be discouraging? On the contrary, deliberately considering potential failure is not an act of pessimism, nor does it diminish motivation. Instead, it is a powerful strategy that forces us to confront reality, prepare mentally, and create contingency plans before setbacks occur. When we visualize failure, we compel ourselves to analyze potential risks, identify weaknesses in our approach, and proactively address them. This not only gives us a more well-rounded perspective on our journey, but also allows us to take control of factors that could stand in our way. Furthermore, thinking about failure strengthens resilience and adaptability. In reality, things rarely go exactly as planned. Those who rely solely on positive thinking may find themselves unprepared when faced with obstacles, leading to discouragement or confusion. In contrast, those who have already considered potential failures are more mentally fortified. They are not caught off guard by unexpected challenges, but instead approach them with a flexible mindset, ready to adjust their strategies and keep moving forward. They understand that failure is not the end, but an inevitable part of the path to success. Imagining failure also fosters humility and a mindset of continuous learning. When we only focus on success, we may become overconfident and underestimate real-world challenges. However, when we take the time to acknowledge the possibility of failure, we recognize that no plan is foolproof and that no one is immune to mistakes. This awareness drives us to prepare more thoroughly, seek advice from others, and remain open to growth. Instead of fearing or avoiding failure, we can turn it into a valuable tool for self-improvement. When we dare to face the worst-case scenarios in our minds, we strip failure of its power to intimidate us. Instead of being paralyzed by fear, we become proactive in overcoming obstacles. True success does not come merely from dreaming about positive outcomes, but from thorough preparation, the ability to navigate adversity, and the persistence to keep going despite difficulties. Sometimes the best way to succeed is to start by imagining failure. Imagining failure helps you prepare for challenges. When setting big goals, many people focus only on success and rarely consider the obstacles they might face along the way. They envision the rewards of achieving their dreams, but fail to anticipate the difficulties that could arise. This lack of foresight can lead to overconfidence and make them more vulnerable to setbacks. On the other hand, by deliberately imagining failure from the start, we can identify potential challenges in advance and develop strategies to overcome them effectively. For example, in sports, elite athletes do not just visualize victory. They also mentally prepare for difficult moments. They imagine scenarios where they lose momentum, face stronger opponents, or experience physical exhaustion. By doing so, they train their minds to stay calm under pressure and react swiftly to adversity. This mental preparation allows them to make better decisions, maintain composure, and perform at their best even in the most challenging situations. This approach is just as valuable in everyday life and professional pursuits. Before embarking on a new goal, instead of focusing solely on success, we should take time to consider potential difficulties. Asking questions like, what factors could cause me to fail? What could go wrong? And how will I respond if things don't go as planned? Can help us anticipate risks and develop backup solutions. When we prepare for possible setbacks, we become more adaptable, resilient, and better equipped to handle unexpected difficulties. Most importantly, imagining failure does not mean being pessimistic or doubting yourself. Rather, it shifts our perspective on challenges, seeing them as an inevitable part of the journey rather than insurmountable roadblocks. When we practice facing and managing difficulties in our minds, we become mentally stronger and more confident in real-life situations, significantly increasing our chances of success. Imagining failure makes you more resilient. Visualizing failure is not just a mental exercise, it is a powerful way to strengthen your psychological resilience. When you actively confront the possibility of failure in your mind, you give yourself the chance to experience challenges without facing real-world consequences. This process trains you to persist through difficulties, regulate your emotions more effectively, and develop the ability to handle pressure when it truly matters. Research from psychologists at the University of Chicago suggests that individuals who regularly imagine failure tend to manage stress better than those who focus solely on success. By mentally rehearsing setbacks, they become more adaptable, less fearful of obstacles, and more prepared to navigate difficulties when they arise in reality. This ability to anticipate and emotionally process failure in advance helps them stay composed, make rational decisions, and keep moving forward, even in the face of adversity. In practice, instead of avoiding thoughts of failure, we can actively train ourselves to deal with it. One effective technique is pre-mortem thinking, imagining that your project or goal has already failed and identifying the reasons why. By pinpointing potential weaknesses and risks in advance, you can refine your approach and take preventative measures to minimize mistakes before they happen. Additionally, developing a habit of self-reflection is essential for long-term growth. Learning from both imagined and real failures helps build mental toughness, making us more confident in handling setbacks. The more you train yourself to accept failure as a natural part of the journey, the less intimidating it becomes. Over time, you'll realize that failure is not the end, it's an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and better prepared for future success. Imagining failure helps you overcome fear. The fear of failure is one of the biggest obstacles that hold people back. It makes us hesitate, avoid taking risks, and shy away from new opportunities because we are afraid things might go wrong. However, when we actively imagine failure, we strip it of its power, making it feel less intimidating. Over time, we begin to see failure as a natural and necessary part of growth rather than something to be feared. This technique, known as negative visualization, has been used for centuries in the philosophy of Stoicism. Stoic thinkers believed that by mentally preparing for worst-case scenarios, they could strengthen their emotional resilience, reduce anxiety, and approach life's challenges with greater composure. When we have already visualized setbacks in our minds, we are less likely to be shocked or overwhelmed if they actually happen. Instead, we are able to assess the situation calmly and respond with clarity and confidence. In real life, instead of avoiding the fear of failure, we can train ourselves to confront it. A simple but effective way to do this is by asking, what is the worst that could happen? More often than not, when we approach this question rationally, we realize that the consequences we fear are not as catastrophic as they seem. Failure is rarely permanent, and in most cases, there are always ways to recover, adjust, and start again. More importantly, we should shift our mindset about failure. Rather than seeing it as the end of the road, we can view it as an opportunity to learn and improve. Every failure teaches us valuable lessons about what doesn't work, what weaknesses need to be addressed, and what strategies can be refined for the future. When we accept failure as an inevitable part of progress, our fear of it begins to fade, and we develop the courage to step outside our comfort zone and embrace new possibilities. Ultimately, imagining failure is not about dwelling on negativity, is about freeing ourselves from the paralyzing fear of making mistakes. When we mentally prepare for setbacks, we gain the confidence to take action, experiment, and keep moving forward, even when the path ahead is uncertain. Imagining failure makes you more creative. Creativity doesn't just stem from inspiration, it comes from the ability to confront failure and learn from it. Some of the greatest innovators in history, such as Thomas Edison, Steve Jobs, and Elon Musk, understood that failure is not the end of the road, but an essential part of the creative process. By continuously experimenting, failing, and adjusting, they were able to develop groundbreaking ideas and products that changed the world. When you actively visualize failure, you are forced to think more critically about your plans. You start asking yourself crucial questions like, what weaknesses could cause this plan to fail? Are there backup strategies? What will I do if things don't go as expected? This process not only helps you anticipate and avoid major mistakes, but also encourages innovative thinking. When you acknowledge potential risks, you become more proactive in seeking alternative solutions and creative approaches to overcome challenges. One of the biggest advantages of imagining failure is that it frees you from rigid thinking. When you are no longer afraid of failure, you become more open to experimentation. You realize that there is no straight path to success. Setbacks are inevitable, and each failure provides valuable lessons for refining your strategies. This mindset fosters flexibility in problem solving, allowing you to explore multiple directions instead of being trapped in a fixed approach. In practice, you can apply this mindset by developing a strong experimental attitude. Instead of seeing failure as something negative, view it as data for improvement. If an idea doesn't work, it's not a disaster, it's an opportunity to gain deeper insights into what works and what doesn't. A helpful question to ask yourself is, if my current plan fails, what other options can I try? Thinking this way ensures that you always have alternative approaches, increasing your adaptability and creativity in any situation. Additionally, you can adopt the fail fast, learn fast principle, which is widely used in technology and startup industries. Instead of trying to completely avoid failure, embrace small mistakes as opportunities to quickly adjust and refine your strategy. This approach helps you continuously improve, minimize the risk of major failures, and optimize your path to success. Ultimately, imagining failure does not discourage you, it empowers you. It helps you develop a more realistic outlook, think more flexibly, and become more creative. When you stop fearing failure, you allow yourself to experiment more, take calculated risks, and discover breakthrough ideas that you might never have considered before. When you visualize failure, you gain a clearer understanding of the difficulties you may encounter. You stop assuming that everything will go smoothly or that success will come after just a few attempts. Instead, you prepare yourself mentally to face obstacles and accept that the path to success may be long and filled with setbacks. Imagining failure also teaches you that failure does not mean giving up. If you anticipate challenges and difficulties in advance, you won't feel overwhelmed or tempted to quit at the first sign of trouble. Instead, you'll see setbacks as opportunities to adjust and improve. You'll recognize that each failure is not a sign of hopelessness, but a crucial part of the learning and growth process. Another benefit of imagining failure is that it helps you set more realistic and achievable goals. When you understand that obstacles are inevitable, you'll be more likely to create flexible goals rather than overly ambitious ones that lead to frustration. You'll also learn to break down large goals into smaller milestones, making it easier to track progress and stay motivated even when the final result is still far away. How to apply this mindset in real life? Set long-term goals and be willing to adjust them when necessary. Don't expect immediate success. Plan in stages and be ready to adapt as challenges arise. Recognize that failure is an unavoidable part of any journey. Accept that setbacks will happen, but what matters is your ability to get back up and keep moving forward. Celebrate small victories along the way. Don't just focus on the final outcome, acknowledge your progress, no matter how small. These small successes serve as motivation to keep going, even if they come after multiple failures. In short, imagining failure doesn't discourage you, it helps you adjust your expectations and build patience. When you understand that every journey comes with challenges and that success takes time, you'll develop a more positive attitude, be better prepared for obstacles. Imagining failure can motivate you to work harder. For many people, the fear of failure is not just a source of anxiety, it can be a powerful driving force. When you vividly imagine failure, it creates a sense of urgency that pushes you to take action to prevent it from becoming a reality. Instead of allowing fear to paralyze you, you can use it as fuel to stay focused, disciplined, and committed to your goals. Elite athletes, including Olympians, frequently use this mental technique to enhance their performance. While they certainly visualize winning and achieving their goals, they also spend time imagining the disappointment of losing. They think about what it would feel like to miss an opportunity, to fall short after years of training, or to see their competitors surpass them. This visualization of failure ignites a sense of determination, making them train harder, refine their skills, and push past their limits. The same principle can be applied in everyday life. When you imagine the consequences of not reaching your goal, whether it's failing a test, missing a career opportunity, or letting yourself down, it can be a wake-up call. Instead of procrastinating or making excuses, you become more motivated to take proactive steps toward success. However, it's important to use this strategy constructively. The goal is not to dwell on failure in a way that leads to self-doubt or excessive anxiety, but rather to channel that fear into productive effort. By acknowledging the possibility of failure and understanding its consequences, you develop a stronger sense of responsibility and commitment to your work. How to apply this mindset in real life? Use the possibility of failure as motivation rather than fear. Instead of letting fear hold you back, let it push you to work harder, prepare better, and stay disciplined. Set deadlines and hold yourself accountable. Having clear timeframes for your goals ensures that you stay on track and don't fall into the trap of complacency. Focus on preparation and action rather than worrying. Instead of spending time feeling anxious about failure, channel your energy into doing the necessary work to increase your chances of success. In the end, imagining failure doesn't mean accepting defeat. It means acknowledging the stakes and using that awareness to drive yourself forward. When used correctly, this approach can be an incredibly effective way to boost productivity, resilience, and overall success. Conclusion: failure is a teacher, not an enemy. Imagining failure does not mean you are expecting it to happen. Instead, it is a powerful way to prepare yourself, learn valuable lessons, and use potential setbacks as tools for self-improvement. By embracing failure as part of your journey rather than something to be feared, you can develop a stronger mindset, sharpen your problem-solving skills, and increase your chances of long-term success. The most successful people in the world do not avoid failure, they embrace it. They understand that failure is not a reflection of their worth, but a stepping stone toward mastery. Every mistake, every setback, and every challenge provides an opportunity to learn, adapt, and come back stronger. Instead of being discouraged by difficulties, they use them as motivation to push forward with greater determination and insight. Don't just focus on the vision of success. Take a moment to ask yourself, what could go wrong? Identifying potential obstacles in advance allows you to prepare strategies to overcome them. How will I respond if I face setbacks? Thinking through your reaction ahead of time helps you stay composed and proactive under pressure. What can I learn from failure before it even happens? By considering the lessons failure could teach you, you develop a mindset of continuous growth and improvement. By integrating this practice into your approach to goal setting, you are not only increasing your likelihood of success, but also building resilience, creativity, and confidence. No matter what obstacles arise, you will be better equipped to face them head-on and keep moving forward. Failure is not the end of the road, it is a necessary part of the journey. And when you learn to work with it, rather than against it, you transform it from an obstacle into one of your greatest assets.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.